after graduating college, I got in a routine of doing the same old things, work and play, and it was just like repeat. I was just really like in a rut, and I felt like I needed to get out and do something. And one day I was literally sitting on the couch watching TV with my roommate, and I just got up from the couch and I was like, let's go throw the football around. Let's just not go to our jobs, go to the gym, eat dinner, and go to bed, and then do the same thing over and over. And so that's what got me involved in my alumni club. And I went to University of Illinois, and eventually, so I got involved as like just a leader on their board. And I think in like a year or two, I was running the board. And so it was a very quick learning process, but that really taught me that it's easy to get involved in something that you care about, and it's also very fun, and you meet a ton of great people, and the learning is incredible. I mean, imagine going from sitting on your couch watching TV to 2 years later being the president of an alumni club of the biggest university in Illinois. Hello, I'm on Croft. I'm on a mission to build the next generation of leaders, and I'm the founder of Asenda. The answer to why are you doing this is I believe the best way to develop leadership skills is through serving others. So I think leadership skills can be improved, and everyone needs to be a leader. Some people don't think of themselves as a leader or as needing leadership skills, but don't forget you need to lead yourself in your life. So that's a pretty important role that you have. So everyone needs to lead. And I think the best way to develop those skills is by being active and doing. You can't just read a book and be better at leadership until you practice it. So books, you can read a book and then practice it, and then that helps. But just reading or watching YouTube videos, for example, it doesn't make you a better leader until you practice it. And the best place to practice leadership is with a cause that you care about, because leadership is really hard. You need that motivation to stay in the game. And if you don't, if you're not really connected to the cause and what you're doing, eventually you'll burn out, because this is usually something extra in addition to your job, in addition to your personal life. But that can have positive impacts on both those areas of your life. I've really honed in on this part of the world as being the ideal spot for me, and I think really the ideal spot for most people to get started in developing their skills.
Tell me a little bit about why you decided to build Asenda. Where did that come from? What's the need?
Yeah, so being involved in these organizations, I found that it's really hard to lead other people, and most of all, you need to lead yourself. So you need a way to have some way of being accountable to your team, basically, and then your team will then trust you to lead them. So it's all about developing this trust in this environment of trust. And so trust is an interesting thing, because you can't force somebody to trust you, or you can't tell people to trust you. You have to act trustworthy, and you have to build an environment that is trustworthy. And in order to build trust, you need a couple things, but one is a clear set of expectations about what's expected. And then you also need to have transparency around that. And so as I was getting into more of these boards, and boards were trying to use technology to try to hold people accountable, like building spreadsheets and checking off when you came to the meeting and checking off that you made your donation and stuff like that. I just felt that we needed a better way to fix that problem, and that also wasn't very fun. Like, spreadsheets are no fun. That's kind of what you do for work, is spreadsheets. So I wanted to take the spreadsheet out of the accountability and engagement piece, and put it into some sort of technology that was fun. So we make keeping, holding your board members accountable and make that fun, believe it or not. So that's why we needed to start that, because that's the number one problem that board leaders have, and board members in general, is trusting each other is going to get the job done. And without that trust, the organization can't live up to its full potential, and that's could be life or death in a nonprofit, because you have people that are literally relying on you to provide services when they need them, and if they don't have them, it can be really cold out, the shelter's closed, and people die. So it's literally life or death that people can follow through on their commitments and hold each other accountable.
What's kind of your big vision for Asenda? Where would you like to see it go?
Yeah, so right now we have a group called the All Board Alliance using our platform, and so that serves about 300 organizations, but that's just in Chicago. And we know of almost 1,000 organizations that are these young professional leadership groups, just for nonprofits in Chicago. There's a bunch of young leaders groups within companies, at schools, all kinds of things. So we'd like to go from 300 to 1,000 in Chicago, but also branch out to every major city and allow other cities to start chapters of these groups. And then Asenda will be the technology that powers it all. So keeps everything organized, and is the resource, because really you need to automate some of this work, and computers are really good at automating things. But I don't think technology is a replacement for people. So there are certain skills that people have that will be really, really useful, even decades into the future. They won't be replaced by machines or anything like that. But technology is really helpful. So, for example, if you go to a job fair and you're searching for a job, you can imagine something like that, but for the nonprofit space, where you're a nonprofit leader looking for a board to serve on. And it'd be really nice, instead of applying to 10 separate places, that you could just have one application, but they could go to 10 separate places, right? So you're not doing repetitive work over and over. So that's what I'm talking about with the automation, being able to go to a website and look up any cause in your area and find a way to get involved with one click. And with one click, you share the information that is relevant to that nonprofit, so that they can make a decision whether to, have you volunteer or where to use your skills. And that's just something that it needs to be as easy as possible, because I can order Amazon in one day, right? I can get any sort of food delivered to any place that I want. Technology has enabled it to be super, super easy in all those other areas, except for finding a nonprofit to volunteer for or donating money. You still have to fill out all those forms and all that stuff. And it's like, it just needs to be easier, because the competition and the technology is out there, and it's really great. And you're competing against Amazon and Facebook and Google when you have anything on the web, and it needs to be really great. So that's part of the reason why I started it too, is because nonprofits don't always have access to the greatest technology, and they should have technology that's even better, because it's harder work than running a for-profit business.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about what stage you're in?
Sure.
Yeah, what it looks like.
Yeah, I think so. The All Board Alliance has been around for about 5 years, and Asenda has been around as an idea for close to that, but officially about 2 or 3 years. But it still feels like we're in day one. So we're definitely in growth mode, but we're also still learning, and I realize we'll always be learning, which is pretty exciting. It keeps us on our toes, but just when we think we have it figured out, we realize that there's more to the problem out there than we thought, and we need to, even though we have 85% of it built now, we think 85%. Doing that last 15%, or maybe even that last 5%, is really, really tough. Same thing with like autonomous vehicles, like getting a car to drive down a street is pretty darn easy. But teaching a car the difference between stopping for a pigeon crossing the road and stopping for a human to cross the road, um, it's a little different. And that only happens a small percentage of the time, but you need to account for it. Otherwise, you'd have cars smashing into humans. So same type of thing with our software is we have a very robust software built, technology platform built for people to use. But there's always like that 1% case that we need to account for and we want to account for so that when people run into it, there's a solution or we're on it and we can build them something that works.
Next, how can we help? What are you looking for right now? What kinds of support?
Yeah, well, I think the my only ask is really to just get involved. And so getting involved can be finding a cause or a problem that you want to tackle in your life that's outside of your work and your personal responsibilities, just something that you really, really care about. And we can be a resource for you to find that cause by going to allboardalliance.org, for example, and searching for a board. Again, it's all powered by our system, but when you go onto there and you search for a cause that you care about, most of the time you might not know what the name of the cause is. If you knew the name of the cause, you would just Google it and then call them, right, or email them. It'd be really easy. So what you do is you search for by topic of the problem that you'd like to solve. So I want to work with kids. I want to work with mental illness. I want to work with homeless. You're able to type in those terms, and then we'll score and give you results based on what you type in. And so that'll get you pointed in the right direction. And then with one click, you can contact that organization. It starts an email conversation between you so that you can follow up. And so, yeah, so get involved in a board if you want, volunteer if you want. But lastly, I would say everybody asks you how to get involved. It seems like that question comes up a lot and people don't know where to search for. Even if you're not interested or maybe you're already on a board, tell other people about the resources that are out there and why it's a good idea to get involved. And this idea about leadership, developing your leadership skills through serving others, is the best way to do it.